Hello and welcome to part 1 of the Java EE install video. This video is going to show you how to install the Java Enterprise Edition JDK as well as Eclipse and everything you're going to need if you're going to go ahead and participate or take the Java EE programming course that I'm teaching in the spring. And it's also helpful for anyone who wants to get the Java EE Enterprise Edition installed on their computer. So what I've done is I've opened up a web browser, and I'm going to be doing this in a Windows XP system. And this is a Mac, but it's on inside I have Parallels Desktop, which is where I'm showing you this window here. And this window essentially is Microsoft Windows inside of it, XP actually. The instructions are going to be the same for XP as they are going to be for Windows 7. If you can find this Oracle website actually quite easily if you just do a simple Google search or Yahoo. Let's just go to Yahoo real quick here. If I just search on download Java JDK or EE, something of that nature. Internet access seems to be running a little bit slow, but it's okay. And you hit Enterprise Edition here, first one on the list. It'll take you to the same site. Actually, this is an EE6, which is kind of interesting. Actually, no, it says EE6. I believe 7 is the most current. So I bookmark a link that I had here earlier. Let's see. Let's see if this link is the same link. See if I'm losing my mind already. No, it is 7. Yeah, 7 is the most current. So this is December of 2011. So of this, JDK 7 appears to be the more current version. So what you want to do here, and I'll zoom in on this so you can kind of see it. Pause the video, write this URL down. You want to go to Oracle TechWork Java SE downloads index, and it'll take you to the screen. So pause the video, write this, you should be able to see it. Write this URL down here. This is where I'm going to download it. And once you've gotten that written down, type it in your web browser, bring it up. And if you click on the Downloads tab, it'll take you to the download screen. Otherwise, I should stop clicking. Here we go. Otherwise, the Overview tab, it's going to show you an overview of what's available. I want to make sure I click the right one because we want the EE edition. So I'm going to scroll. Oh, don't want this here. Hold on one second. Let me go back to that main URL again. Of course, every time I try to do a video, my internet runs a bit slow. So it doesn't normally run this slow. It's only when I'm trying to record something. So anyway, I'm going to click on this box on the right where it says Java EE. I don't want NetBeans, I don't need the FX, and I don't need the regular old JDK. So I want this one right here. It's the EE version. And I'm probably going to need to sign a license, accept a license or something of that nature. Let's see. Yeah, that's what the box is going to tell me. So I'm going to accept a license agreement. And I'm going to pick the one on the bottom here. Which I don't have a 64-bit system, I have a 32-bit system. So I'm going to select the Windows one on the bottom here. And it appears to be 130 megabytes, so I'm going to save it on the desktop, just like that. And it shouldn't take too long to download. According to here, it looks like it's going to take about 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do right at this point is pause my video so you don't have to sit and watch this for 5 minutes, and then resume once my download has completed. So I'll be pausing right now. Okay, I'm back and my download has completed. Excellent. So I'm going to press on close. And I'm actually, you can bookmark this page. Maybe I should bookmark it actually. I'm going to bookmark it. And then I'm going to close my browser, and on my desktop I see the downloaded file that I just downloaded. And now let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what this looks like when I go and run through the install. So I've got the Java EE SDK, looks like JDK version 7 for Windows. So I'm going to double click on the icon to open up and run through the install for you. So we can see what kind of prompts and stuff. This is just one of those old style Windows XP security warning things. I'm just going to press run on this and see what happens. Let me zoom out a little bit just in case there's something on the screen I'm not seeing. I pressed run. Here we go. Extracting a bundled JDK SDK. This is running in a virtual desktop. Could not find the required version of Java 2 Runtime. Okay. This computer doesn't have anything on it at all. So I know that, and I've got a I've got a little Windows error as well. So I'm going to, not to send a message on that. Looks like I need to install a runtime environment. So I'm going to go back to my Java. There we go. The one in which I saved the bookmark, and I'm kind of glad I saved it. And it appears that I removed Java completely from this computer, so the runtime environment was not on there at all as well. So I'm going to install the runtime environment, and then I'm going to take it from there. Let me go back actually to this other link because I don't see the runtime on here. Interesting. You know what? I'm just going to put on first. I'm going to put on the JDK. I know this includes the Java runtime. So I know this seems like a tedious step, but because this is a brand new install of Windows XP, I don't have anything on this computer at all. I'm just trying to get, you don't need the SDK version of it, the SE software environment, but I'm going to put it on here anyway. So let's say I want the Windows i86 version of it. So what I've done here is I've just selected, just because I clicked on some stuff without telling you what I did, so I'm going to go back up and tell you what I did. Go back a step here. I went back to the download sheet. You can go back to the original URL. This is what I need to do. You may not need to do this at all. If you get that error message, you need to do this. So I went back to the original URL and I clicked on the first one here for the JDK, which is going to include the runtime environment. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to install this one before I install the Java EE version, because this is going to need the necessary background files, the runtime environment, obviously. So I'm going to click on this option here for my Windows 86 because I don't have a 64-bit processor. It looks a little smaller. I'm going to save it to the desktop. I'm going to say OK. So that was kind of an interesting experiment, actually. Having a brand new install of Windows. You may not end up having that problem because your system will probably already have a runtime version of Java. It's, I don't even have a web browser. Well, I have Windows Explorer here, but I don't have anything really installed on this fresh install of Windows. So apparently it wants the runtime engine installed. So that's what I'm going to do. So this will also put the So I'll put the SDK version on there too, but it's okay. So, all right. So I'll let this run. This is about 3 minutes. So, I'll pause the video for you so you don't have to listen to this part of it. Listen to me chat while this is downloading for the next 3 minutes. So let me pause it and I'll come back to it when the download has finished. So my download has completed, and I'm going to press OK. And I'm going to quickly run through this install. Hopefully this won't give me an error. So I'm going to double click on the JDK, just as the regular SE version that includes the runtime environment that apparently I needed because I didn't have anything installed on this computer. So hopefully this will run correctly. So this is SE Development Kit 7 Update 2. I don't have a next yet. I kind of clicked on it, waiting to see. Here we go. Next. So yeah, this is what I needed. I needed the public JRE. I guess I was too lazy to go find it. I guess I could have just found it and just installed that. But I just ran through more than I need. It's okay. It's just space on my hard drive. So let's let this run through a little bit. And I probably should have checked before I did any of the install to see what would happen if I went to a DOS prompt. Actually, while this is running, I'll do that. If I bring up a DOS prompt, I can kind of see if I have Java installed already by typing in the word Java. And I'll probably come up with an error message if I do that actually right now, because it's not really installed. Yeah, so what ended up happening here is the Java, I could tell that the Java runtime environment wasn't installed by opening up a DOS prompt and typing in Java. And I know the JVC, I know that the JDK is not installed either, because the Java C command is not going to work either. So Java is not a recognized command. Java is not installed on this computer. Neither is the JVC. So that's kind of a, if you get an error, if you get that bad command or file name on Java, you're probably gonna have to run through and install the JRE as well. So, all right, so this is going to install the JRE 7, which is great. I'm gonna hit on next here. Run through the Oracle prompts. Let's see. Registering Java runtime environment, perfect. And then what I'm going to do when I get done with this is go back to the EE install. So, all right, so looks like it was Java Development Kit 7 Update 2 successfully installed. I'm going to continue. Yeah, it's probably going to take me to an Oracle website to fill out a registration form or something. No, it didn't. Okay. I don't really need the Java FX 2.0 SDK. So I'm going to actually cancel at this point, because I probably should have installed it. So I'm going to go cancel here. Are you sure you want to cancel the Java FX 2.0 setup? Yes. Don't really need it. So, because the purpose wasn't really to install that. It was to install that JRE, which I had installed. So, and here's that website I was talking about. I'm just going to close the website down. So. And just to be on the safe side, I'm going to actually I'm going to reboot my system here. It's not going to affect this video. I'm just going to do a restart here because I'm running inside of a Parallels desktop, and so I can reboot my Windows system without stopping my video record, obviously. So as this is rebooting, just as a reminder, I'm going to go back to the EE version, and hopefully I'm not going to get an error message this time about the Java runtime environment. But it was actually kind of a nice experiment. I didn't realize you needed the JRE Java runtime environment installed to install the EE version, but apparently you do. So it's probably because it doesn't include it, maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting scenario, actually. All right, so I'm going to throw this guy away because I don't need him anymore. I just installed him. So let's resume back where I left off. So now I'm going to double click on the Java EE SDK, the first one that I downloaded, and you can essentially start at this point. If you didn't get that error message, you're already in here. So now it looked like it found it just fine. I'm getting a little further through the install. Extracting installation files is what I'm getting, and perhaps this is where you're at. If your Java runtime environment was already installed and you didn't have to install it, then you're at this point. So it's going to launch the Java 2 runtime environment. Oh, that's why I needed it to launch it. Why didn't it just include it? I don't know. It's just kind of weird. So, it's running in Java. That's interesting. So now have a screen that says Java EE 6 SDK, and it is initializing. This is a little bit bigger so you can kind of see what's going on in this window. So I'm running through it. There we go. I got it centered a little bit. All right. Nothing too spectacular. I've got a Java EE 6 SDK. So like a couple of steps it's going to go through. Glassfish project. We're going to want that actually. So I'm going to select next. Do we want the typical install or do we want the custom one? Offers. Let's see what the custom actually looks like. I'm going to press on custom and go next. Because now we can do the install and the configuration, and I can kind of show you what these options are just in case you may not want to install the Glassfish server or something. we can always just select the defaults and we're going to get everything. So install and configure. Choose this option to install and configure Glassfish server. Install only. Choose this option to perform an installation and skip it. Well, we want the Glassfish, so we're gonna select this option right here. And or we can configure an existing installation. I don't have anything installed on this computer, so that I don't really have anything to configure. So we're going to put Glassfish, which is a server that I'm going to use in the EE course that I'm teaching in the spring, which is why I'm installing this, because we need a server technology in order to implement some of the Java servlet technologies. So I'm going to put it in this default directory so I can remember where it is. I'm going to press next. Then we're going to install update tool. We're going to have a proxy. I'm going to leave this blank actually right now. Because I'm not quite sure what I want to put in here in terms of the port or the host. And I'm going to see it's probably going to give me an error message if I leave it blank. No, it didn't, which is not bad. So I can always go back and configure that later. And in the install, if we run through the automated install, because now we're at the ready to install screen. So if we wanted to, we can go back up. In fact, maybe I'll just do that as an exercise. I'll go back up and say, well, what if I just, instead of going custom, what if I just did typical? So remember before at this stage I hit custom installation. Let's just do typical. If I did the typical, it installs the Glassfish server, management domain, ideal for development, non-business critical, well, it's because it runs like kind of slow. It'll put it on port 4848 and 8080 if they're free. It'll use those. So let's just do that actually. So I'm going to go next. And so it's going to tell me the same prompt as before. Yes, I want to use the same directory. Sure, why not? I'm just going to leave it blank again, so it's really the same prompts actually. It didn't really do anything different. So I'm going to go ahead and press the install button on the bottom of the screen. This is the same spot I ended up with when I selected the custom option. So there's really nothing big difference between the custom install and the manual one. So I'm going to press install, and what I'm going to get is hopefully the JDK installed, the Glassfish server installed. And hopefully some default configuration set. We got some configuration results. It looks like it's going to show up on the next screen. So here we are installing the Glassfish server at the bottom here. Most ports are going to use 8080, which is kind of the default HTTP port, which is, it's kind of predictable actually what this is going to configure with. So. And we don't actually have to worry about this until we use it. It's not really going to load anything in the memory, so it's just going to install a bunch of tools, and then we're going to use the tools throughout the course. So running through the install, 45% time remaining. Looks like a minute. Looks like it's running through pretty fast actually. And, module extension. This is the boring part. I guess you could read the fast little screens that are popping by. Some XML stuff. Web server stuff. Commercial support. Yada yada. I'll be patient as the install continues. I'm going to kind of let this run while the video is running, just in case some interesting errors or something pop up. Then I can sort of troubleshoot them with you, and then you can, if you get the same error, you can figure out what to do with it. And I'm not getting any errors, or any more errors I should say. So it seems to be running properly. I hope this remaining time is not 53 minutes. I think it's 52 seconds, but it doesn't really appear to be counting down at all. So the status bar is hopeful. Status bar is giving me some indication that something progress is being made. So it almost seems like the same. I think it is the same screens, same information. Here's making more progress. Same stuff keeps rotating through, so it's not really giving me very much feedback. It's kind of one of the most boring installs I've ever seen. So why it didn't go out and install, or provide me a little help with the JRE. That's interesting. So when this install actually finishes, we're going to go to the Eclipse website and download and install Eclipse for use with Java, and that's actually kind of simple as well. And this EE6 actually provides support for Eclipse as well, so we can run the tools right inside of Eclipse. So here's our configuration results. Please wait while the program is performing the required configuration. So it's creating a domain for us. And if at all possible, we're going to keep all the default settings going on because it will make it easier to remember how things were set in the future. And what have we got down here? I've got a new look. I've got new update available. Oh, great. Looks like I turned on updates. This is from the SDK. New update available here. I'm just going to actually just close the little box. I will have to maybe uninstall that. So, at the moment, I'm still waiting for this to finish. It's appears to be starting a Glassfish server, it looks like at this point. I don't see any major error messages, which is good. User looks like admin with no password. And the ports looks like 4848, which is good. Please look at the server log for more details. Attempting to start domain number 1. Okay, I have a regular arrow now, and I have a next, so I'm going to go ahead and click on next. Little summary of the results here. It says the overall status is that it is complete. And then we have the update tool, Bootstrap is installed, this is installed, the product was installed. Okay, so it appears that we have everything installed correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Exit. And see what comes up here on the screen. I've got, again, Internet Explorer is going to pop up, and it's going to ask me to register. And I'm not one for registering. What is this? A little pop-up window or something. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that window. So now I don't really need the JDK anymore, so I'm gonna put that in the garbage and take a look and see what's been installed on the computer. So it looks like, let me make this a little bigger so you can see it. From my start menu, I have a JDK EE6 SDK new entry in here. Got an uninstall, start update tools, start application server. We're going to use stop application server. We're going to be using these in the future when we start using the application server. This is update tool. That's what this update tool is about. I believe that's going to be the same kind of update thing that I saw show up down here, and I might want to actually just keep that. Looks like there's probably a new update available. I'm going to go ahead and update that at a different time. I'm not going to do that right now, but the update feature actually kind of looks a bit interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and quit out of that, actually. And so now what I want to do is install Eclipse. One of the things, another thing I want to do is kind of take a look in the Explorer to see where everything got installed. So I'm going to open up my computer, go to the C drive. I see Glassfish ended up in its own directory. That's kind of nice, actually. And I see the bin in here to start. And this is the server that we're going to be using. Don't worry about that at this point. If I click on if I click on Program Files and I see an entry for Java, and then I see the Java JDK with a bunch of stuff, and then I see the JRE. Because what ended up happening actually is I had my SE version was replaced by the EE version that I just installed. So the JDK, I'm actually going to rename that to just JDK. Kind of I don't know if this would be a preferred way of doing it, because then I can't tell what version of the JDK I have, but I want to make sure that I add this to my environment variable path statement. And so it's easier to type if I change this to JDK. So now I have a little bit more consistency in that I can actually use Java JDK bin and not have to worry about what version number is in there. So in the bin directory is where all of the Java C, all of the other files are going to be located that I'm going to use in my Java development. So before I did not have this directory in here because I didn't have anything installed on this computer actually for that. So another thing I'm going to do is actually go into the start menu Go into settings, go into the control panel, double click on the system icon, go into the advanced window, go down to the bottom where it says environment variables and click on this button right here. And in the bottom window where it says system variables, I want to check to make sure my path is correctly stated. So if you double click on it, I can kind of see this is, I mean, at one point I had Java installed on here, which is kind of like why I wanted to change that name to JDK and get rid of the version number on there, because now I can go in here and say, well, I can, if this is not in your path, you need to add it, /program files /java /jdk /bin, because this is what's going to be able to make it so that your Java compiler will work from any directory. So add this to your path if it's not in your path already. Mine's in there, so I'm just going to cancel it. Actually, I'm going to cancel this too, and cancel this. And I'm going to go back and actually kind of test it to make sure that Java is installed. And the way you do that is you go to a DOS prompt, kind of like what I did before. And this time when I type in Java, I should get something. I should get a program that runs, and I do. I didn't actually run anything. This is the runtime environment, the JRE. But I get the usage information, which is a good sign. It means it finds the command. It's no longer a bad command or file name. And if I type in Java C, I should get some similar result, which I do, which is great. So that's how I know, outside of those little menu options, which doesn't give you anything for Java, that's how I know I have Java installed, because Java C brings up all this information that is available for the usage. Normally I would type in Java C space the name of a Java file.java. It would compile for me. But in this particular case, the commands are working, so I can feel fairly confident that the program is actually going to be working as well. So my next step is to install some sort of an IDE. There's a couple of choices actually that you can pick from. There's one that I really like called JGrasp. And I'll take you to that URL. In fact, I think it's www.jgrasp.com, but let me just see if that works. If not, I might have to Google it. I'm not actually going to install this one, but you might, let's see, here we go, JGrasp, maybe it's .org. It is .org. This is a really nice IDE, Integrated Development Environment, JGrasp. If you don't like using Notepad to write your source code files in, this one's not bad. In fact, you know what, I think I'm going to install it, actually. I'm going to install it while I'm here. I don't have anything set up on this computer, so I'm going to go to the download link, which is just going to be right here. Might as well just get everything set up on this computer. And here's going to tell me, to go and get the JDK and the JRE that's available at the Sun site. Well, it's actually Oracle site now. If I click all the way down to the bottom, it's going to give me some options. I'm just going to click the one for Windows here, the JGrasp executable, and I'm going to save it to my desktop again. And so that on my desktop, it's going to be a program that I can run. And it's actually kind of a small file. It's not too bad, about 5 megabytes. JGrasp is kind of like a Notepad, actually. It's kind of like an advanced version of Notepad. Nice little IDE to it. So I wasn't even thinking about using it, but I think it might be fun, actually. So here's JGrasp. If I double click on it to install JGrasp on my computer, it'll allow me to essentially write Java programs. So I'm going to say run, and run through this little, and it's kind of a lightweight program, a lot lighter weight than Eclipse, actually. It runs pretty quickly. So I'm going to say I agree, and we'll put the desktop icon out there, why not? And put in a program files, JGrasp, sure, no problem. Good, good, good. All right. File associations, maybe not so good. Doesn't really matter because when I install Eclipse, it's going to change my file associations. So I'll just go ahead and leave that alone. Now if I minimize it a little bit, I see I'm going to throw this one away. I don't need this one anymore. Now see I've got a little icon here. I'm actually going to drag this down in my taskbar. Sort of well, I use a Mac, so I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to desktop items. So I'm going to throw that one away. Lock my taskbar again. Now what I'm going to do is click on it, and run it for the first time. And let's see what happens here. Take a look at JGrasp so you can maybe just evaluate it perhaps and see if it's something you want to do. Thanks for using it to help us improve it. Do we want to send in? I think this is probably something to send email messages. I'm going to say no, don't allow it. You need to help improve it to permission below. No, I don't want to send usage data to the server, so I'm going to say don't allow. And voila, we've got this nice little IDE. It's going to sort of look like Eclipse, but it's a little smaller actually. So you can go, File, New, and you can write a new C file if you have a C compiler installed, or a new Java file, a new Object-C file. So if I go Java, a little space over here, I can put a hello world program in here, and then I can run it. So I can, easily kind of, test if I wanted to. And if you can run Java-C from a DOS prompt, it'll run in here just fine as well. That's all it's doing. It's just kind of taking and running Java-C on your Java code. It's just like Notepad. It just has a few more options and things. So. Alright, so that was kind of an extra add-on kind of program. What I really want to do is install Eclipse. So I'm going to go to the Eclipse download website, and here it is here. So go ahead and go to your web browser and put this in here, eclipse.org, downloads. And it's really easy, actually. I'm just going to install the Eclipse IDE for Java developers. So this will allow me to run all of the EE stuff, all of the Enterprise Edition components, which I haven't really gone over yet. And I'm going to select the Windows 32-bit option there. And there you go. To the United States, maybe I shouldn't. Well, yeah, United States. Yeah, there we go. It's not too bad. The install for this is really easy, actually. It's written in Java, and it's just a zip file that you're going to need to unzip, and it'll be interesting. I don't know if I have any zip utility on this computer. I probably do. It probably comes standard with Windows. So as mentioned, this is kind of a fresh Windows install. So I'm going to download. In fact, I may even have Eclipse already installed on this computer, but we'll see in a few minutes. Actually, let me check right now. No, I'm going to delete what's on here. I thought I saw an Eclipse folder in here. Let's see. Under Program Files, I did. Oh, but it's empty, which is nice. I'm just going to delete this then. Alright, so yeah, there's JGrasp ended up under here. So, but, no Eclipse on here anymore, which is good. Alright, so it says 5 minutes, so I'm going to pause the video for 5 minutes and then come back when because otherwise you're going to be bored listening to me for another 5 minutes of ramble. Pause the video, then I'll come back when the download has completed. Okay, I'm back, and my download completed. So I'm going to go ahead and press close on the download. And I already saved the bookmark, so I'm going to just close this window. And now I see on the desktop I've got Eclipse for Java. And before I install it, I want to show you something else. During the little break I had when I turned the video off, I put together a little hello world.java program. And if I open it up in Notepad, it looks like this. And I'm not going to teach you how to program in Java in this video. We're just going to test the install with this. But as you can see, I've got a class hello, and it's just going to print out hello YouTube to the screen. And the class is saved in a file called hello.java. It's capital because I have capital hello here, and you should always capitalize the name of class files. And I want to show you how easy it is to use JGrasp. So you might notice that the file has got an icon association already to it called, looks like it's set for JGrasp. So that's going to change, or may not change on us actually. It might just stay the same after we install Eclipse. But I double clicked on the file, and it opened it up in JGrasp. And so here's the file right here, actually. You can tell the file is hello.java. You could actually just go like this and go File, Open, and select the file as well. The file is going to be on my desktop here. And I could open it up. It's the same file. But I just want to show you why I like JGrasp. It's kind of easy to use. It looks like Notepad, but instead of having to exit to DOS to go, type in Java C, because I could do that as well. I could just exit to a DOS prompt, type in Java C space hello.java. And instead I could just go up here and go build compile. And on the bottom I can kind of see where it's going Java C -G Java. Just put this command line argument in there. Doesn't really matter. You probably could have just left it out. Operation complete. And I see the .class file, hello.class file that was created right here. But instead of having to go ahead and now run it out of DOS prompt, I can actually run it in here as well. So if I go run, it says hello YouTube on the screen, operation complete. So I get instant gratification from this little screen down here. Make the screen a little bigger so you can see it. That shows you the output right here in the IDE. So, and you can switch between different files. You can load multiple files. You can create projects and stuff. So it really does. And actually, that was just a good test there to see if the system was working correctly. And the little hello world file compiled just fine. So anyway, I can just close that out. I'm going to throw this away. I'll keep my hello world because then I'll use it to test in Eclipse as well. So. Alright, so here's the true test. Do I have? Yes, I can unzip it. Great. So I'm going to extract, open with the regular old Windows utility. And looks like, well, maybe I shouldn't have copied it to the desktop. 30 minutes remaining. That's kind of ridiculous, I think, actually. No, it's not going to take 30 minutes. I probably didn't want to copy it to the desktop. Rather, I probably want to copy it into my file system. So I'm going to go ahead and open up. While this is going on, I can multitask. So while this is going on, I'm going to go back to Windows Explorer. And I'm going to open this up so I could just drag it over, essentially. Actually, that copying might be taking longer because it's decompressing it at the same time. So I'm going to click on the C drive. And I'm just going to put Eclipse in my C drive. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna bother moving it into program files. So let me make this a little smaller so I can see what's going on. The background, I've got a copy. That's good. I believe it might be decompressing it. So you could have just dragged it instead of to the desktop, drag it to the C drive, which is what I probably should have done. But let's just give this a few minutes, and then I can just move it from the desktop into the C drive. And then I can make it a shortcut. But the Eclipse IDE is not going to create the shortcut for you. There's no install for it. It just simply, you download this, you download the zip file, you unzip it, you create this directory. So I'm going to take the directory, I'm going to drag it over here to the C drive, which is where I wanted it. So that didn't take too long to copy. If I go into the Eclipse main directory, I see at the bottom of the screen a little round kind of ball thing. I'm just going to make a shortcut, create a shortcut, drag that shortcut to the desktop, shut this Windows Explorer, and then I'm going to add this as well to my my taskbar down here. I'm just going to put it right next to the JGrasp. Oops. There it is. And I'll lock the taskbar again and throw this away. Actually, I got to throw all the rest of this stuff away. I got to throw this away too. Alright, so my system's all cleaned up, and so now I'm going to run Eclipse to see what it looks like and test it out, make sure it works. So there's no install, it's just a matter of unzipping it. And when you run it, you get this nice little screen, and the first time it loads, it actually kind of loads a little slower than the next time it loads. You should see a green status bar at the bottom here coming up soon. So I'll be patient. Okay, so it's going to ask me about a workspace. This is going to be anywhere you want, actually. You know what? I'm going to put it out here so I could find stuff easily. I'm going to put it on my C drive. This is where all your projects are going to be stored. So I'm going to put workspace right out there, and it doesn't exist yet, so I'm probably going to get a message that says, would you like me to create the directory? But I'm going to put it right out there on my main folder. So use this as the default and do not ask me again. I'm going to click this button here, and when I click on OK, oh, it didn't ask me to make it, it just automatically makes it, it looks like. So if I go out here to the Windows Explorer, I should possibly see my workspace directory. Here it is, workspace. It's That has some information in there. That's interesting. All the projects that I create in Eclipse are going to end up in the workspace directory. I could specify another directory if I want to, but they're going to end up right here. So let me close the Windows Explorer. And so the first time you load Eclipse, you get this little fancy little screen that comes up with these orientation stuff. I just want to click the Workbench, go to the Workbench. So now the Workbench is always going to appear every time I load Eclipse automatically. And I'm going to get rid of this task list. This area, in my opinion, it looks kind of cluttered actually. So I'm going to remove that. Keep this on the bottom. If you remove it, it'll come back when you have status. But it's kind of like the JGrasp window. Your files are going to show up here. Your source code is going to show up here. Your output's going to show up here. So I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going to say Java project, because what I want to do is test this out. And by default, what we get here is we get the Java project. We get a regular old project that might be used with, maybe a different language. We have a bunch of objects that are going to be created for us, such as a class and interface, and it kind of automates a little bit more than JGrasp does, and it actually includes JUnit as a test suite. So just a little bit more features than I would say than Eclipse, but again, it's a little bit more cluttered as well. So I'm going to go File, New, Java project, and I'm going to create a new Java project. I'm going to call this one Hello World. Because we want to just test it out, so I might as well just combine this with a Hello World program as well. And I'm going to use the default location, and default location, if you can see this, is kind of use default location. Is going to be my workspace. It's going to be in a folder called Hello World. That's where I'm going to find everything. Use the JE that I just installed actually, or I can use a project specific JE. Just leave it on the defaults. Working set stuff. Just click on finish, essentially. Leave everything on the defaults. Now I have a little folder up here. It says Hello World. And in my source, I don't have any source. Actually, it's empty. But what I could do, if I wanted to, I don't think I can drag. I can drag. Look at that. Copy file. So let me just show you what I just did a few seconds ago. And this is the first time I actually tried it, which is kind of interesting. I've always wanted to, but I've just never, I'm always too lazy to do it. You could add a file by going up File, New, Class, and put a new class in here. In fact, I'll do that right now. This is what I was going to do. And I can call this, let's say, main, perhaps. And it's going to be part of source. And if I go finish, what ends up happening is I get this class main in here. And main's going to show up as a generical class that's in here. And I'm not going to teach you programming at this point. We're just going to kind of get familiar with where we're adding files in. And if I go out to the workspace directory and I take a look at Hello World, which I just created right here, I'm going to see in here an source src directory, and in the src directory up here I've got the main file. So that's the file I just created inside of Eclipse. So if I want to, I can actually, let's delete the file. So if I right mouse click on it, I could just say delete, and it says, are you sure you want to delete the file? Main.java, say okay, alright. So I just deleted it. So now if I go back out here in the Windows Explorer, it should be missing, and it is. I don't see it out here anymore. Let me just refresh it. No, it's gone. So what I just did a few minutes ago as an experimentation is I took this from the desktop, I dragged it, and I kind of stuck it here. And then asked me if I wanted to copy it. So select how the file should be imported into the project. I could copy it or I can link it. So I'm going to copy the file. So I'm going to say OK. So now I have it out here, but I also have it in here. So now it just miraculously showed up inside of the source directory. Another way I could do this, I'm going to delete this actually. Delete it. Okay. So I still had it out here, that's why I was able to delete it. Now it should be deleted from here. So now it's gone. Another kind of option I can have is I can right mouse click and select import. If I import it, Then I can say, well, what do I want to import? Well, I want to import a file. So is it going to be, I clicked on this general to open it up. And what I want from the file system, I'm going to import from the import source. It's going to be the file system. Next. Browse. Well, how about my desktop? This is the desktop out here. I'm going to go OK. And then here's the file over here. I got to click on it, and I can go finish. And then I can get it in this way. And I just imported it in. And then if I go back here, I say, oh, now it's in there. All right, so now if I double click on this file, it opens it up over here, which is nice. And then it shows me each one of the methods broken out over here. So, which is just kind of interesting. So if I want to run this now, this is Hello World program. So I could go run, and I can select run from here, or I could right mouse click, select Hello World, right mouse click, and say run as, and I want to run it as a Java application, because that's what this is. So it should compile it, which it did, and then on the bottom of the screen now it says Hello YouTube. So it's pretty much doing the same thing as JGrasp is doing, but it's doing it, I don't know. There's a few more options. This is going to support also the EE tools that we're going to use for the server, for RMI, for everything that we're going to do in the EE course. So if you want, you could play around with JGrasp, or don't install it at all. You don't need it for the Java EE course. You can just install the Eclipse, and that'll be just fine. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got your Java EE installed, your runtime environment installed, your Hello World running correctly. And if you're interested, I kind of didn't really post this. I didn't post this source code anywhere. I just kind of created it while the download was going on. It was kind of like an on-the-fly kind of idea. But I'll make it a little bigger. Copy, paste that, put it into a text file. Hello class. Call it hello.java. And you can do or experiment with what I just put together for you. So the next video we will go on to EE programming. This is the only video in the tutorial section for the install of the EE IDE and platform and toolset. So purpose was to get your development system configured, so hopefully it is. And next time come back for some Java EE programming. Thanks for watching.